But unfortunately, right now, we're still waiting on some information from our partners out west. I'm Jeremy Thompson, Chief of Police here in Elizabethtown. Our mayor's in here. Our communications team with the city, Chris Denham, Amy Inman are here as well. We appreciate your patience again waiting. There was a method to that madness, but we can take some questions. I can give you a brief summary. It's how you guys want to handle it. You've probably seen. Sure, that's fine. Shortly before 9 o'clock this morning, we received phone calls, multiple 911 calls about multiple individuals being shot at our courthouse, just about a half a mile from here. We were on scene within a minute, located 3 victims while we were down there, and the suspect had fled the scene, obviously armed and dangerous. We began working to find that individual. We later identified him as Christopher Elder. He is now, our understanding, in a negotiation stage in Western Kentucky with law enforcement. So they have him contained, but I can't give you an update because I don't have one. That's what we were hoping to be able to provide. But all I can tell you right now is there's negotiations ongoing between law enforcement in Western Kentucky and our suspect. At no time was this a threat to anyone other than the individuals that were involved. This was a domestic related incident. There was a hearing at the courthouse this morning stemming from previous incidents, and we believe it was isolated to the individuals that were involved. I can tell you that one of the individuals shot is deceased. We will still have individuals that we're looking for to give notification, so we're not going to release that name as of right now. The other 2 individuals have been transported, and I can't give you an update because I just don't have one yet. I know one was going to surgery immediately, and the 3rd victim we know was transported, not by helicopter, so that's always a more promising sign, but that's all I can tell you right now.
Can you give a relationship between the suspect and victim?
It's our understanding, the preliminary investigation is that the victim who was killed in this incident was dating our suspect.
Can you tell us about the suspect?
Well, what we know right now is that he has ties to the Elizabethtown and Breckinridge County areas. We don't know exactly how long he's been in our area. All of those things will be determined through the investigation. Again, he's currently in a standoff with law enforcement in Western Kentucky, and we do know from eyewitness accounts that we're confident that he was the perpetrator in the shooting this morning.
Do you have an age?
I do. You're going to force me to do math. 40, yeah, just turned 46. Elder, E-L-D-E-R, Christopher Elder.
Can you talk a little bit more about the pursuit, where police started and then where they found him, and then just were there any shots that were fired in this pursuit?
Well, we don't know that because none of our officers from E-Town or Hardin County were involved in the pursuit. When we arrived down at the courthouse this morning, suspect was already gone from the scene. And it's just our understanding we put that information out to all of our partners, state, federal, and local. And we were contacted by a Western Kentucky law enforcement agency that said they were in pursuit. We tried to monitor best we could, but at this time, I can't comment because I don't have any details other than it's in a standoff situation at the moment. One of the Western, outside of
Which one?
I'd have to check with our dispatch. I just know that there are multiple agencies involved, so I don't want to say because I don't know definitively which one. On the pursuit or on the entire incident? Well, it just depends on who got behind, because you have a lot of jurisdictions between here and there. Obviously, KSB has jurisdiction from one end to the other, so they could have, but it was my understanding that it was a sheriff's department that was the initial department that got in the pursuit. To what level they're involved at this point, if they're involved at this point, I just can't comment because I don't know. We put the vehicles in flock immediately, and we were able to determine the vehicle itself, which is one of the benefits of flock. As we've said many times, instead of telling you that it's and I'm just throwing it out there, a 1986 Toyota Camry, we can show you the Toyota Camry or the Nissan, whatever that make and model is. this particular suspect vehicle, he had two. We confirmed that one of the vehicles was in maintenance right now at a local repair shop. And this vehicle that he was in during the commission of this crime this morning had unique factors of spray paint down the side. So we searched lock, we found that, and we were able to put that out regionally. Unfortunately, someone leaked that information prematurely, but it's out there.
Was the suspect part of this court hearing earlier this morning?
That is my understanding, is that he would have been part of that hearing. It's my understanding it was some type of EPO hearing, but I don't know all the specifics of that. No, I just know that the parties involved were at the courthouse for a hearing this morning.
What is your take of the situation? Like the shooting that happened outside the courthouse, arguably were secure location in our county?
Well, it's terribly tragic because, unfortunately, the victim lost a life. We have two other people that were shot. Surviving family members are going to be without loved ones. It certainly undermines sometimes the importance of what family court has to go through, because family court, there's always emotion involved. When you have cases like this, and we have them daily because most counties have a family court now, so they see this, but it just takes one incident such as this to understand how volatile these can be. And when it happens, and the number of people that were there for jury trials, jurors, attorneys, staff members, law enforcement there working the metal detectors. There's just the number of people that were there as witnesses is going to take us a while to get through all that.
Do you know if there were any children involved?
I can tell you that there are two juvenile children. One of the victims, they're safe. They're waiting on family members to arrive, but that's all I can say with their juvenile status.
Were they on the scene?
They were on scene, but I can't give you names, ages, or anything like that right now.
I know you mentioned the two vehicles. Was he seen with the leak tank and the spray painted vehicle, and then at one point, where did this other vehicle come into play?
Well, we have the ability to run an individual's name through their vehicle registration database. So we were able to determine that there was more than one vehicle. Witnesses on the scene that do know him well told us he has multiple vehicles, but we also had eyewitness accounts of that particular vehicle being the vehicle that fled the scene this morning. So we just had to make sure that he may have fled the scene in one particular vehicle, but he could have switched vehicles, obviously, to avoid detection. So we confirmed that did not occur, and it's our understanding that the vehicle that the pursuit occurred in was the same vehicle he was in this morning, the silver vehicle with the spray paint.
Any thoughts on changing the security measures in the courthouse? Made any change today?
Well, the Elizabethtown Police Department, we don't govern the security at the courthouse. That's the sheriff's department, so I'll defer to them on anything they may do. But it occurred outside in a parking lot. So, from an outside looking in perspective, I think the courthouse itself was secured. As I'm sure it was put on immediate lockdown, but the sheriff would have to comment on that. A parking lot is just that. It's an open, soft target with very little security other than happenstance that an officer that's arriving for court might be walking through that parking lot.
Some witnesses described that the vehicle appeared to be driving around waiting. Is that your indication that they were waiting for those victims to come out?
We've heard some of those statements, but again, there's a number of witnesses involved with this. I'm not doing those interviews myself, so we'll have to just let the investigation determine that. What we do know is that the assault, the homicide occurred in the parking lot in an ambush type style. So it could have been something that occurred. We'll verify all that through the investigation.
Have you identified the type of weapon used?
We have not. We've recovered shell casings, but shell casings just tell you a small portion of that. But hopefully when this situation in Western Kentucky is resolved, we can recover the additional evidence and work with our partners out there to get the vehicle brought back here and hopefully the suspect in custody.
Is he barricaded somewhere? Is negotiation partners?
It's our understanding he's still in the car, but again, that's about what we know about it. There's some type of standoff at the conclusion of the pursuit.
Anything like this for every group?
Yes.
How confident are you?
Well, I've seen it go both ways, so it's really up to him. Yeah, there's professional negotiators that we've had some conversations with already this morning that are down there working the scene. We'll provide them any assistance we can. to resolve it peacefully. But at the end of the day, that's out of our control. And quite frankly, it's out of the law enforcement professionals' hands down there. At this point, if he wants to set the weapons down and step out of the car, he could end it peacefully. But that's how that kind of goes. Anything else? Sorry to keep you all waiting. Again, we were genuinely hoping that we would be able to tell you that the suspect was in custody or some type of final resolution. We're just not there. When we learn of how that situation ends, Officer Chris Denham or John Thomas will get that information pushed out to a media release. But I can't give you a time frame.
At one point, Chief was concerned for the community, and it was no longer a threat.
Sure, and it's a fair question because we have this area, we have schools in very close proximity, so we put schools on soft lockdowns or spoke with our school resource officers. The schools made those decisions, but once we were able to determine these details pretty quickly as far as it being more of an isolated domestic situation, and we learned the suspect believed to be going far west of here, then we were able to put everyone at ease that this was isolated.
Did the suspect know the other two victims who were shot?
They were also family members
Family members
of the
victim?
deceased victim. We have 2 female victims and 1 male victim. And again, just out of respect for the family, we have people traveling we know that we've spoken to from out of state that are coming in. So we're going to hold off on some names. We'll get those released at some point this afternoon, hopefully, early evening. We've got to go back and talk to our investigators. There's, again, lots of interviews, lots of information flowing in. And we'd rather slow down and get you accurate information than just be fast and it not be correct. All right.
Is there any misinformation you want to dispel before we begin things?
At this point, I don't think so. I think we've seen a lot on social media, but social media is often toxic in a situation like this. It's usually less helpful than what I would tell you for today and for the future. If you want information that's accurate, we have, Chris, 30,000 followers on our PD page. The city has equally that much or more. If you want accurate information and you can't get a hold of one of us, look on our webpage, look on our Facebook page. We'll put accurate information out. If there's no accurate information to be released, we're not going to release it. But it gets poisonous, it gets toxic, and what it does is unnecessarily burdens dispatch centers, our own and others, because people call and they hear this, hear that. It forces other departments to put schools on lockdown. It just, again, there's a toxicity that goes with bad information, and I would encourage everyone in here with a large media presence to just check out our social media pages. And we're usually pretty good at getting that out there as quickly as we can. But again, quick's not always best for us. Our stance will be get it accurate and then as timely as possible. That'll always be our priority. Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes we hear that domestic situations, especially for police officers going into a situation like that, is sometimes the most dangerous situations to be in. How often do you see those kinds of things play out here in E-Town?
Well, this is certainly a rare occurrence. We just did, our local newspaper just did a story on the 2023 crime report. And we had 3 homicides all of 2023. And it was cleared by arrest. It was an isolated incident as well. So when we do have violent crime of this nature, typically it's very isolated, and it's something to where you might have a whodunit in other areas, and investigators are out trying to figure out, catch these investigative leads. We've been very fortunate that that has not been something that happens here often. So again, today was in very short order, we were able to determine that it was a domestic situation. We were able to learn very quickly, within minutes, who our suspect was, and then begin tracking that individual to where he may be fleeing.
Do you have any of the ages of victims?
I do not right now, no. And again, we'll hold off on all the victim information until a couple of the family members that we know we're waiting on from out of state to get here and make sure that they've had an opportunity to notify additional family members. But we'll get that out hopefully late this afternoon or early evening. Okay, thank you all.
All right, folks, thank you so much for staying with me here on this live stream, bringing you new information. Very tragic story unfolding in Elizabethtown today. We know that a triple shooting happened this morning around 9 o'clock near the courthouse. One person is dead, 2 others are injured. We know that the person who is dead was involved in a relationship with the suspect who police identified as 46-year-old Christopher Elder. He is currently in a standoff after a pursuit happened with authorities. So authorities have located him. They're right now in a standoff with him. They are hoping that he will surrender. That's unfolding in Western Kentucky right now. The suspect showed up to court today outside the courthouse for an EPO hearing, an emergency protective order hearing, where he shot and killed the person he was involved in a relationship with and 2 of her family members. We do know also 2 juveniles were there at the scene when this happened. Very, very tragic story. You may have heard Alina Noakes, Wave News reporter Alina Noakes, asking questions today. She's following up on this. So we are following this. This was a targeted shooting, according to police. So a lot of folks are asking questions. This happened in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. If folks are wondering where that suspect is, in Western Kentucky right now, involved in a standoff. Police identified him again as 46-year-old Christopher Elder. We're going to follow this story throughout the day, so please stick with us. We wanted to bring you this press conference live here on Wave Now and on Wave News. A lot of schools in that area are on soft lockdown because of this incident. So stay with us. We're going to have much more throughout the day and follow this developing story. I'm Myra Ansari. Have a good day.